Now we go to a very different kind of architect, an architect who served the entertainment industry, if we are to call it so, in Great Britain, and who studied at this formidable school named the Architectural Association. Where else? Where else indeed? If you go to the Wikipedia page of the Architectural Association and you scroll down to the bottom of the page and look at the alumni, you will see the who's who in contemporary architecture. In my opinion, if I'm not exaggerating, I think about 80% of the architects who meant and mean something in contemporary architecture went through AA, through the Architectural Association. It was and still is something formidable about that school, with a very open climate, very experimental. And that's why someone like Mark Fisher, chose the path he chose, and he became quite famous. Let's read a little bit about him. He's called the architect of rock. Why? Because he created stage design for rock and roll celebrities. So Mark Fisher, all those titles that in Great Britain matter something, was born on the 20th of April, 1947, was a British architect best known for his rock music stage sets. He was born in England. Fisher graduated from the Architectural Association School of Architecture in London in 1971, so he was a colleague of Rem Koolhaas and Zaha Hadid and so on. He was a unit master at the AA school from 1973 to 1977, so for 4 years. He also taught in this formidable school. In 1984, he set up the Fisher Park partnership with Jonathan Park. The partnership was dissolved in 1994 when he established Stovefish, the Mark Fisher Studio. I guess, but it's a funny name for his office, so to speak, Stovefish, from studio and Fisher. Fisher designed stage sets for Pink Floyd, including In the Flesh tour performed live in 1977, the World Tour performed live 1980-1981 with Roger Waters and Gerald Scarf, the Division Bell Tower tour 1994, the Rolling Stones, including Steel Wheels, Urban Jungle Tour 1989, Voodoo Lounge Tour 1994, Bridges to Babylon Tower Tour, Bigger Bang Tour 2005. I guess he collaborated extensively with the Rolling Stones. Mylène Farmer Avant que l'ombre, I don't know who this is, in France, Tina Turner, U2, Pop Mart Tour, and the U2 360 Degrees Tour, and for the 2012 Diamond Jubilee concert, Madonna in 2012, Lady Gaga 2012, Born This Way Ball Tower, and for the Metallica's Death Magnetic Tour. In 2000, he created the Millennium Dome show with Peter Gabriel. He has designed opening and closing ceremonies for the Olympics in Torino 2006, in Beijing in 2008, the Genesis Turn It On Again tour, the $1 Million Piano for Elton John and the Asian Games, and stage sets for theatrical shows, including We Will Rock You and both Ka and Viva Elvis by Cirque du Soleil in Las Vegas. He designed the stage sets for Laura Pausini's Inedito World Tour. Fisher also designed Lady Gaga's Born This Way Ball Tour stage. The stage consisted of a large medieval castle that moves throughout the concert. I will be honest with you. I think even if you are so-called very serious and very profound, citizen of the world with little concern for pop culture, little concern for rock and so on, I think very few people in the present, and not just in the present, but in, in the recent years, were not affected by what is called rock and roll. I know Wolf Prix was and is. I think deep down he wanted to be a rock and roller, but he tried to be a rock and roller in architecture. The truth is, this part of our life is an exciting one, often, and with a lot of energy. Let's rock the world, and for example, when I went to Vienna 3 years ago with some students in architecture, one of them asked me, well, what could the architect do to be as famous and as, a public figure of the, of the stature of, let's say, Mick Jagger or Lady Gaga or, Elton John and so on. And I smiled because it's not easy. Even the best known architects are kind of shadowed by these idols of the public, these musicians who give us the illusion that life could be more interesting, more dreamlike, more intense, more like rock and roll. So let's see. Fischer designed the Handshow Theater in 2010. Fischer and his team worked closely with the client, designing a viable building alongside the vision of innovative technology and exhilarating spectacle. Fischer died in his sleep on the 25th of June 2013 at the Marie Curie Hospice in Hampstead. But why was he there? Because he wasn't not so old. I guess he was ill, leaving an estate before taxes of more than 7 million British pounds. His design for Elton John's diving board tour debuted posthumously. Now, I took this text for Wikipedia, so sorry for the mention of the money, but this is what our time is so interested in. This was the man, the one on the left, with a member of the U2 team, and I'm sure it was very exciting, to work with these, with these musicians, to externalize architecturally in terms of stage design some of the longings and dreams and so on. Here he is. Of course, this kind of temporary architecture is part illusional, part delusional, but we need the dream. We need the dream. I'm not a great fan of succumbing to the often superficial seductions of this sort of thing, which are close to what we call fantasy works. But fantasy is also part of life, the fantastic, in as much as the dream and the nightmare are. And we cannot say no to them. They are part of who we are. And if we cannot bring the dream and the longing and even sometimes the anguish into our works, then I think we impoverish our work and ourselves, our creative life. Here he is as a younger man, successful and a little bit cocky, and you have to understand this man was part of that ambiance. I mean, even Zaha Hadid, she was very involved with the mundane society, with fashion designers and so on. So here he is with some kind of a clothing that he envisioned and created. Why not? Again and again, we need imagination, we need joy. It's not about anything else, actually. It's about joy. Do we have joy in our life? Do we have joy from working in architecture? Can we express ourselves in our architecture, temporary or otherwise, our aspirations? Can we find joy? And if we don't find joy, then I think we should think twice about what we are doing. Joy is immensely important. And even Beethoven, now he arrived at the ode of joy through suffering. He was deaf when he composed the ode of joy, but 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 he was aspiring towards something which in the essence was the light at the end of the tunnel, joy. Even Friedrich Nietzsche said that, you know, the human being is the most entitled to laughing, meaning, you know, to have joy because he suffered the most. He expressed himself in his paradoxical way, but I understand. Nikita Stănescu said, darkening darkness, thus the gates of light. In the end, we all aspire towards light, towards joy. And if we don't have that joy, I think we deprive our existence and our work from something that should be actually the highest aim. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that in this you know, rather curious, bizarre almost piece of clothing that Mark Fisher designed should be seen the highest aim of creativity. But again, playing is important, to play and work and play. Here is playing too. You know, why do we need music? Why do we need that music? Why do we need, you know, to fill stadiums? Okay, not now when we have the pandemic still, but, you know, until the pandemic, I sometimes watch, you know, and I'm a little bit envious, you know, that I don't know, Dire Straits or Creedence Clearwater Revival, they fill stadiums and the energy, the excitement, all those people jumping non-stop for hours, 3-4 hours jumping, people of all ages, not just teenagers. Why were they jumping? Well, they were jumping because they felt like it. They were inspired. There was excitement. Could architecture make one jump? Well, not so easily, but I think great architecture. I remember myself when I came, when I had the chance to visit a villa house of Le Corbusier, of Frank Lloyd Wright, that I didn't know of, in Niles near Chicago. And when I discovered it, when we finally arrived there, I began to dance actually around the building because I liked it so much. I recognized the excellence, you know, I recognized its poetry. It is a great building. It's less known than the Falling Water, but in my opinion, in some respects, perhaps better than Falling Water. So it is in the power of art to warm us up and to make us, you know, more alive, more energetic, more inspired, and so on. So look at all these people here at the bottom, you know. Of course they were excited, you know, they stood up, they didn't sit on chairs, you know, for hours sometimes. Yes, these rock and rollers are to be envied indeed. Some drawings of Mark Fisher. This is a drawing for the, you know, the wall tour of Roger Waters. You probably saw the video if you didn't actually see the concert in Bucharest. When he performed in Bucharest, I launched actually a competition, house breaking the wall, a house for Pink Floyd. And we received almost 100 projects from many countries. Interesting works. Anyway, drawings by this graduate or alumni from Architectural Association. This school which refuses to give up dream or to give up on dreaming. I'm not trying to say that architecture should always be like this, because of course architecture is concerned with many issues. You know, you are not going to design social housing you know, like a stage design for Pink Floyd or rock or Rolling Stones. Although thinking twice, maybe I should ask why not? What if we design, or the architects design, you know, social housing kind of similar, animated by the same energy that a stage design for Pink Floyd or Rolling Stones might have. Drawing entertainment. Here is strangely, I couldn't find too many pictures with sufficiently good resolution. Maybe they were copyrighted, I don't know. This is, I guess, the castle that was moving in for the show for Lady Gaga. Here is another fantastic structure that he built, I don't know for whom. Anyway, the other worldliness of these structures serve our need for the other, for escaping perhaps. In my opinion, art is not about escaping reality, but plunging even deeper into a reality, into that part of reality where the fantastic is not banished. And we need a fantastic as well, because it's part of life. Sometimes what happens in so-called real life is more fantastic than what we call the fantastic. So anyway, an interesting man, this Mark Fisher, and you know, I think the relationship between architecture and music, architecture and even yes, specific kind of music like rock and roll is perhaps worth contemplating. Look at this. I mean, no architect in the world, doesn't matter how good, would be able to bring in, you know, so many people around the building. It's impossible. Music can do it, but it's true. Music does it temporarily, you know, for 2, 3, 4 hours, maybe. But architecture is also concerned with a certain amount of lasting. It lasts. This is temporary, but the intensity, the incandescence, the exuberance of those 2, 3, 4 hours are impossible to match with any other art. I remember Bernard Tschumi saying, fireworks are the best architecture. Now, on the other hand, when I sent images with the protests in Piazza Victoriei in Bucharest in 2017, immediately after the tragedy at the Collective Club, at the Club Collective, I sent some pictures with those 200, 300 thousands people in the capital of Romania to an architect in France, a good architect, Brendan McFarlane. And when he saw those pictures with 200, 300,000 people with mobile phones up in a beautiful connectedness and togetherness in protest, he said, this is the best architecture. And it was kind of in the same spirit, you know, like the best architecture of fireworks, the best architecture of what we look at here, or the best architecture of what happened in 2017 in Piazza Victoriei, because it's about the inner fire, the fire of passion, the fire of fighting for a legitimate cause, the fire of imagination, and so on. So there are, if I had more time, I would have added other pictures, but this is just a short introduction in the work of this rather unusual architect who decided to, you know, to work for temporary installations for famous musicians. This is for Pink Floyd or for Roger Waters.